They were crying. Youths were sweating and confused. The search for a missing 4-year-old girl had been going on for hours, yet no one had a clue where she went. Just when hope was almost lost, someone screamed, "There she is!" Can you imagine the panic, the fear, the desperation? Stay with us on Innocent Stories to uncover this shocking tale. Everyone ran toward the old mango tree behind the shopping complex. And there she was, lying flat on the ground. 3 chickens calmly rested on her back like she was a warm bench. Flies danced on her face, her clothes dirty, her eyes still closed. Her mother screamed and poured cold water on her. No response. They slapped her back. Nothing. They flogged her legs and shouted her name. Not a blink, not a word. That was the day they all realized Vanessa wasn't just a deep sleeper. She was a sleeping legend. Why is she like this? Why doesn't she respond? Is this a sickness or a strange curse? What kind of sleep is this? You won't believe what happens next. Keep watching Innocent Stories for the jaw-dropping truth. Her story will shock you and leave you speechless. Get ready to watch the full story because this one is unforgettable. The full story begins now. Grace, Vanessa's mother, tiptoed in the house for hours because she didn't want her baby Vanessa to wake up. She swept the house in her big compound, washed the plates and tidied up her kitchen, washed her piled-up clothes, and mopped the floor. She finished all her chores with no distractions and disturbance. Now back in the kitchen, she stood by the stove, flipping ham slices in hot oil when something struck her. She hadn't heard a sound from Vanessa all morning. No giggle, no cry, not even a sleepy grunt, and it's already afternoon. Her heart skipped. She rushed into the room, her hands still oily. Vanessa was still lying in the same position she had been since midnight, eyes shut, mouth lightly open, hands relaxed like a peaceful angel. Grace froze. "Vanessa," she whispered. No response. She touched the baby's forehead. Warm. Touched her chest, rising gently. Relief, then confusion. Grace muttered, "And this child can win Olympic gold for sleep. Is it sleep or spiritual hibernation?" She lifted Vanessa up, her napkin squished, soaked full, overflowing. Grace winced. "Ah, you bathed yourself in this thing and still didn't wake up." The baby finally stretched, yawned, and went back to sleep midair. Grace carried her like she was handling a ticking time bomb. "My own baby is not a human being. She's a spirit in disguise." At that moment, their neighbor, Mama Fola, walked in laughing. "She's still day sleep. You are really blessed. My own child cries like he's being chased by village witches." Grace managed to smile. "Blessed? I'm starting to wonder if I gave birth to a girl or a sloth." They laughed, but deep down, Grace was uneasy. This wasn't normal. She cleaned Vanessa up, changed her napkin, and placed her back in the crib. The baby didn't even flinch. As she walked back to the kitchen, she muttered to herself, "This one a different kind of sleep. If sleep had a president, I'm raising her." But she had no idea. This was just the beginning. Vanessa was now 5 years old. Round cheeks, tiny legs, and always barefoot. The entire village already knew her reputation. The girl who can sleep inside thunder. That afternoon, her mother was busy cleaning up the compound when she heard it. Mama Vanny, come quick." A teenage boy came rushing into the compound, panting. Grace dropped the broom in her hand. "What happened?" "It's Vanessa. She's. Vanessa, what?" "She's under the mango tree sleeping with a chicken lying on her back." "What?" Grace sprinted to the tree. A small crowd had gathered, some laughing, some shaking their heads. There she was. Vanessa curled up at the base of the tree, sound asleep. One chicken had climbed on her back for shade. A butterfly rested on her nose. Someone whispered, "Is she alive?" A woman replied sarcastically, "Alive? If you poke her with fire, she will still be dreaming." Another man chuckled. "Maybe she's a reincarnated tortoise, always sleeping and always safe." Grace, fuming but embarrassed, tapped Vanessa. Nothing. She shook her gently. Still nothing. She finally pinched her ear. Vanessa stretched, rubbed her eyes, and mumbled, "Mommy, I wasn't sleeping. I was meditating." The crowd burst into laughter. One woman said, "Meditation in dreamland." A boy teased, "Next time we should put her on a donkey and see if she sleeps while riding." Grace picked her up with a mix of shame and disbelief. On the way home, she muttered, "How can someone play and sleep at the same time? What did I give birth to? A baby or a rechargeable mattress?" Since that incident, Grace didn't allow her daughter to go away from her. Weeks turned into months and months into years. And one fateful day, it was nearly sunset. Children were running around in the neighborhood playing. But in that beautiful moment, something was off. Grace stood in the doorway, panicking. "Vanessa, Vanessa." She'd searched everywhere. Her friend's house, the school field, the riverbank. Nowhere. Neighbors gathered, voices rising. "She no fit go far," one said. "Unless she slept off somewhere," another added, smirking. Grace shouted, "You think this is funny? My daughter is missing." Tears welled up in her eyes. It was getting dark. Vanessa was just 7. Quiet, sleepy, and vulnerable. The entire village joined the search. Flashlights, lanterns, whistles, no trace. Night fell. Then day 2 came. Still nothing. Grace hadn't slept. She barely ate. "She's just a child," she cried. "My peaceful baby." That night, a drunk man staggered behind the village bar to relieve himself. He stopped. He squinted. Then screamed, "Jesus, there's a ghost child here." People rushed over with torches. And there she was, Vanessa, lying beside a pile of crates, hugging a black nylon bag filled with bottle caps and counters, fast asleep, dust on her face, mosquitoes hovering, rats nearby, and she slept like royalty. One woman screamed, "Is she alive?" Another bent down and lifted her hand. "Warm." Suddenly, Vanessa murmured in her sleep, "I've counted 10 reds, 2 greens." Grace came rushing. The moment she saw her daughter, she broke down. You left me for 2 days, and you were here, sleeping." The bar owner stepped forward, scratching his head. "She came in during yesterday afternoon, asked if she could pick counters for maths. I said yes. I wasn't aware she had disappeared into another planet." Grace picked her up. The nylon bag still clutched in her hand like treasure. She didn't even wake up. Someone joked, "Maybe we should tie a bell around her waist." Another added, "Or install a GPS in her brain." As Grace carried her daughter home, she laughed through her tears. "God, this one is not ordinary. Is this how angels behave when they visit Earth?" But deep down, fear was building in her. What if next time she never wakes up? Years passed. Vanessa, now in her mid-20s, was every man's dream and every mother's headache. She sat beside her mother on the couch, twirling a strand of her long hair as Grace stared silently at the wedding card in her hand. The card read, "Pella weds Vanessa." Grace sighed deeply. "Vanessa, you're going into marriage with those sleepy eyes." Vanessa laughed loud, flinging her head back. "Mama, please. What's all this panic for? You want to scatter my joy?" Then she added with pride, "Trust me now, I'll adapt. Besides, Pella knows I don't joke with my resting time." Grace gave her the look. The same one she gave her the day Vanessa slept off while chewing bitter cola in a bucket of cold water. But Grace had been thinking. And then boom, it clicked. "Earpiece," she shouted. Vanessa blinked. "Yes. On your wedding day, we'll put an earpiece in your ear. Every 3 minutes, I will send a loud alarm sound. Not ordinary sound. Something like trumpet mixed with thunder. That way, you won't disgrace me by sleeping at the altar." On that wedding day, Vanessa looked like a goddess. Her white gown sparkled. Guests gasped. Pella stood at the altar, smiling proudly. But Grace sat comfortably on her special seat as the bride's mother, phone in hand. Timer set. 3 minutes countdown. Just as the pastor welcomed everyone, Vanessa flinched. Her whole body shook like someone just dropped ice on her back. Guests turned. Pella leaned close. "Are you okay?" She smiled, eyes wide. "Yes, just joy shock." They continued. Another 3 minutes. Vanessa jerked again. Her veil nearly fell. Someone in the crowd whispered, "Why is the bride vibrating like generator?" Grace was behind, smiling victoriously. Better safe than snoring. At the exchange of vows, Pella. Vanessa jumped so high she nearly dropped the ring. The pastor paused. "Sister, are you all right?" She laughed nervously. "Yes, sir. I just remembered I'm getting married to the love of my life." Pella leaned toward her, whispering, "Babe, are you sure you're okay? You've been acting like someone with electric shock." Vanessa pulled him close and whispered, "Don't worry, baby. It's just my little funny way of saying goodbye to singlehood." After the event, guests couldn't stop talking. Best wedding ever. Drama from start to finish. One said she saw the bride doing mini push-ups during reception. But the most important thing was Vanessa stayed awake the whole time. And Grace, she leaned back in her chair, tears in her eyes, whispering to herself, "God is faithful. My daughter didn't sleep at her own wedding." The wedding night was romantic. The bed was decorated with rose petals. Everything was set for one thing. Pella stepped out of the bathroom, shirtless, grinning like a lion, ready to feast. "Baby girl, it's time to complete this marriage." He turned to the bed and there she was, Vanessa, wrapped in her nightgown, lying sideways, fast asleep, mouth slightly open, snoring softly like a baby goat. Pella froze. Vanessa, no answer. He clapped. Nothing. He shook her. Nothing. He whistled into her ear. She only turned and mumbled, Don't burn the rice." "What rice?" Pella's mouth hung open. He looked around the room like hidden cameras were watching. He carried her up. She opened one eye, smiled, and whispered, "Later." "I'm not in the mood. So much crowd today." And with that, she slept again. Pella stood in the middle of the room, half naked with only his boxer on, holding his white singlet like a defeated warrior. "So this is marriage." He sat on the edge of the bed, talking to himself. "People's wives are doing, baby, come closer. But mine is doing, baby, go deeper into sleep." He walked to the window, hands on his head. Then he dialed Grace. "Hello, Mama Vanessa. I know it's late, but I just want to report your daughter. She has used sleep to cancel our wedding night." Grace yawned on the phone. "Don't worry, my son. Just wake her up gently. Try romantic touch." "I have tried touch, talk, tap, shout, even mild slap. Nothing. This girl is in coma." Grace then said, "Check her purse. She has earpiece. Fix it in her ear and just play a sound in her ear. A very loud one." He sighed and grabbed his phone. "Alexa, play Thunder." Vanessa jumped up, hit her head on the headboard, looked around in confusion. Is it morning? Have I given birth? Pella just lay back on the bed, arms folded. "You know what? Forget the wedding night. I'm watching football tonight." A few weeks later, the early evening sun poured through the window. Vanessa, now pregnant and heavily round, stood in the kitchen like a soldier about to go to war against her greatest enemy, sleep. She looked at the yam slices boiling gently on the gas cooker. "Today I must not sleep. If Pella finds out I burned food again, he might use his bare hands to pluck my eyebrows," she muttered to herself. So she started the process. She placed both legs in a cold bucket of water. She stuffed her mouth with bitter leaf and bitter cola like a village sacrifice. She put a small radio beside her ear, blaring loud music like a nightclub. She was standing. She was chewing. She was focused. She whispered, "I'm stronger than sleep. I'm stronger than sleep." But in 5 minutes, her head tilted. Her knees buckled. She squatted slightly with her arms folded like a baby wrapped in herself. She was gone. The yam boiled, then cried, then screamed, then exploded, and then to charcoal. Hours later, the front door slammed open. "Vanessa, I'm home." Pella's voice echoed. No response. He sniffed the air. "Wait, is that burnt offering?" He stormed into the kitchen, and what did he see? Madame Sleeping Beauty with legs in water, music playing loud, bitter leaf sticking out from the corner of her lips like chewing straw, snoring. "Vanessa," she jerked up. "Oh my God, what happened? What time is it?" She gasped. Pella's voice was thunder. "What time is it, woman? Your yam has passed Judgment Day. I can't take this anymore. Every day is one nonsense or another. I married a beautiful wife, not Sleeping Jungle Book." Vanessa's eyes turned red with anger. "Oh, so now I'm a jungle book. Do you know what it feels like to carry pregnancy? My body is swinging. My mood is swinging. My brain is swinging. Everything is swinging. And you're here shouting, yam, 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 yam." Pella blinked. "You're blaming yam for your mood swing." Yes. Yes. This is not just mood swing. This is pregnancy swing, body swing, and soul swing combined. Silence filled the room for a second. The radio was still playing love songs softly in the background like mockery. Pella stormed out of the kitchen, banging the door so hard the radio stopped. Vanessa stood there biting bitter leaf harder than ever, whispering, "God, is there deliverance for the sleepy-hearted?" 1 month later, one cool Wednesday evening, Pella returned from the office, loosened his tie with the face of a man calculating risk and reward. "Vanessa," he called gently. "Yes, honey," she answered, wiping her oily, pregnant face with the edge of her wrapper. He sat beside her and held her hand like a man about to deliver life-altering news. "My 3 secondary schoolmates are coming this weekend. They really insisted on meeting you. I tried to cancel, but they wouldn't take no." Vanessa's eyes blinked wide. "Ah, okay. That's nice. I'll look beautiful, and most importantly, I will try to stay awake. I know that's only one thing that is giving you concern about me. We can as well use the sound therapy again. You know, that one that keeps me shaking like generator." "Pella, Vanessa, please don't disgrace me. Just pretend for one day that you don't have an emotional covenant with sleep." Vanessa gave her famous sleepy laugh. "No worry, baby. Sleep no go see me that day." The day came. The sitting room looked like a mini palace. Pella had cleaned the house twice. Vanessa wore her finest gown, powdered her face, and even wore heels. She looked like a first lady, but her enemy was nearby. The 3 friends arrived full of life and stories. "Ah, so this is the famous Vanessa," one of them beamed. "You're so beautiful." Another added, "Pella, you try." "Oh, you married well." Vanessa smiled proudly and offered them juice. Then they sat and started chatting. They laughed, talked about school days, laughed some more. But then one friend noticed Vanessa was unusually quiet. They turned. Her head was tilted. One eye was open, the other closed. "Vanessa," one of them whispered. Pella froze. "Baby," he called with a forced smile, poking her arm. She jerked up like she was rebooting. "Ha? Yes, I'm here. I was just meditating on what you said." The men laughed awkwardly. Pella chuckled nervously, but 5 minutes later, she slept again. This time deep. She snored lightly with a soft hum as if she was auditioning for a choir. Her legs even twitched gently. The men stared at her in shock. One of them whispered, "Bro, are you sure she's okay? Is this meditation or malfunction?" Pella wanted to vanish. She does that sometimes. It's her breathing ritual, doctor's orders. But the worst happened when her head dropped and landed on the juice tray, sending cups flying into the air and juice splashing all over one guest's shirt. Chaos, embarrassment, deathly silence. Pella's face was blank. Vanessa's still asleep. One of the guests finally said, "You said she's a first lady." I didn't know it was First Lady of Dreamland. As the door clicked shut behind Pella's friends, the house sank into an awkward silence, except for Vanessa's snoring. Pella stood frozen like a man just baptized in disgrace. His three closest friends had left confused, juice-soaked, and with too many unanswered questions. One of them even texted on the way out, "Bro, I no longer envy your marriage. I now pray for you." Pella turned slowly to his sleeping wife, veins visible on his forehead, eyes bloodshot like a man who hadn't slept for days. "Vanessa," he called, no response. He clapped, snapped, nudged her arm. Still nothing. With clenched teeth, he pulled out his phone, connected it to her special earpiece of thunder, and tapped play. A scream-like sound burst into Vanessa's ear. But instead of calmly waking up like a normal person, Vanessa shot up like a resurrected spirit. She held her stomach, eyes wild. "My baby, my stomach." Pella stepped back. "Wait, is this drama to escape my anger?" She rolled on the floor. "I'm serious. Something is happening. My water just broke." Pella's face melted from fury to fear in 1 second. You're in labor?" "Yes." He stood frozen, then muttered with trembling lips, "God really saved you." He grabbed the car keys with one hand and supported her with the other, mumbling prayers under his breath. "Father, Lord, forgive me. I was about to beat somebody's mother." Within minutes, he was racing to the hospital. No music, no traffic anger, just prayer and sweat. At exactly 6:47 p.m., the hospital doors flung open as Pella rushed in like a madman with Vanessa leaning on him and groaning. "Help, nurse! My wife is in labor and she's also sleeping." "Sleeping?" "Sir, it's labor, not a spa treatment." Vanessa suddenly let out a loud groan. "Ah, it's coming. It's..." Snore. She dozed off mid-scream. Everyone froze. Another nurse peeked from the ward. "Who is that snoring like a generator during delivery?" They quickly rushed her into the maternity room. Dr. Aisha, the chief midwife, looked at Pella. "Sir, your wife needs to stay awake to push or else." Pella was already setting up her earpiece, raised a brow. "You brought her music playlist to the labor room?" "No, Ma. I brought her alarm of destiny." As the baby crowned, Vanessa screamed. "I want to push." "Push, madam," they chorused. But again, snore. One of the nurses yelled. "She's sleeping again." Pella played the loud sound. Vanessa jumped and screamed. "What? Who poured water on the gas?" "No one, Ma. Just push." It took 5 full contractions, 3 alarm blasts, and 2 slaps, courtesy of Nurse Bose, before Vanessa finally pushed the baby out. The baby cried loudly. Everyone in the room cheered. But guess what? Vanessa was already snoring again. Dr. Aisha looked at Pella and said with pure sarcasm, "Congratulations, sir. It's a baby girl and a sleeping beauty for a wife." Pella smiled weakly, sweat dripping from his forehead. As he cradled his daughter, he whispered to her, "My princess, welcome to this world. Please don't inherit your mother's gift." Back at home, at first, everyone thought the birth of her baby had finally reprogrammed Vanessa's body. Shockingly, for the first few weeks, each time her baby cried, Vanessa jumped up like a soldier on duty. People cheered. Her mother cried tears of joy. Even the neighbors rejoiced like it was a public holiday. "Ah, the baby cry not her alarm now. Glory be to God," they said. But it was too good to be true. Barely a month later, her gift returned like a thief in the night. One evening, Pella left for work late and gave Vanessa just one job. "Please just watch the baby. She's sleeping. You, too. Please don't sleep." Vanessa smiled. Me sleep? I'm already healed. Motherhood has taken that away from me. 30 minutes later, the baby cried. 1 hour later, she was still crying. 2 hours later, the baby had screamed so much her voice went from wah wah to W, and Vanessa flat on the couch sleeping, hands behind her head, slippers halfway off her feet. It was Mama Titi, 2 buildings away, who heard the faint baby cry and stormed in. She banged on the door. No response. She peeped through the window. The baby was on the floor, wriggling and crying softly. Vanessa, still motionless. Jesus! Mama Titi screamed, ran in, lifted the baby, and shook Vanessa. No answer. She sprinkled water on her. Still nothing. Is this one dead? Or is this the kind of sleep they sleep in mortuary? She stormed out of the house with the baby and texted Pella. Text, your wife is sleeping like a stone. I've taken the baby to my place before she faints from crying. I'm sorry. I can't let this baby suffer. Pella ran home in record time. Burst through the door. Found Vanessa still in the same position exactly as he left her. Not a muscle moved. He stood there staring, silent, then slowly muttered, maybe I married a cursed sleeping beauty. He walked over, picked her arm up, and it dropped like boiled yam. He whispered in disbelief, God, this is no longer ordinary sleep. This is warfare. Months later, Vanessa had just finished feeding her 8-month-old baby and decided to boil rice before Pella got back from work. Her mind was tired, but she whispered to herself, not today. Sleep. Not today. She brought a bucket of cold water and placed both feet in. She chewed bitter leaf. She even rubbed rub balm under her eyelids and around her nose. She whispered, Pella must meet a happy home today. No quarrel, no shouting. Then she laid her baby on the mat and went into the kitchen. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes. Then it happened. She leaned on the kitchen wall just for a second, she told herself. That second became 30 minutes. Vanessa had dozed off standing, her legs still in the bucket. Meanwhile, the baby, curious and playful, crawled toward the back door she had forgotten to lock. Right outside the kitchen was an old blue drum filled halfway with water used for washing laundry. The baby reached it, pulled up, lost balance, and fell in. No sound, no splash loud enough, only gentle ripples. Back in the kitchen, the rice was burning. The fire was smoking. And Vanessa deep in slumber with the bitter leaf falling from her mouth and her phone ringing endlessly beside her. It wasn't until smoke started filling the house that a neighbor knocked hard and shouted, Fire! Fire day your kitchen! Vanessa jumped up confused. She rushed out coughing. Then she noticed the baby was gone. Panic! She screamed the baby's name. Ran to the sitting room, bedroom, nothing. Bathroom, nobody. That's when she turned toward the backyard. She saw the tiny fingers sticking out of the drum. Her heart stopped. She rushed to the drum and screamed like a woman going mad. Neighbors came running. They pulled the baby out, limp, not moving, soaked, eyes half shut. Vanessa fell on the floor, weeping and shouting, No! Wake up, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. A man from the compound carried the baby and rushed to the main road. Vanessa couldn't stand up. She was shaking all over, screaming, begging God. Pella arrived just as the bike carrying his baby zoomed off toward the hospital. His eyes met Vanessa's. She couldn't even speak. He didn't either. He just stared at her with so much pain, so much anger, so much heartbreak, and turned away. The longest night of Vanessa's life began. One filled with guilt, prayer, and tears. But the baby made it barely. The doctor said just 5 more minutes and it would have been too late. The hospital walls were still cold when Pella turned to Vanessa, his voice barely hiding the storm in his chest. I have tolerated you enough, he said, fists clenched, eyes red with pain. You've turned me into a laughingstock. I don't want to ever see you again. Vanessa's knees buckled. Please, Pella, don't do this. I love you. I didn't mean for this to happen. Please. But Pella walked away, holding their baby close to his chest. I and our child will be very fine. Go and rest well wherever sleep finally buries you. That was it. No room to explain. No mercy. No turning back. Vanessa stood there at the hospital gate, her bag of few clothes hanging weakly in her hand like her soul. The air was cold, but the world around her was colder. She thought of one place. Clara, her best friend since childhood. She knocked. Clara opened, saw her, and frowned instantly. I heard what happened. Vanessa, I love you, but I can't help you. I don't want to be cursed like you. Clara, please. But Clara shut the door. Tears streamed down Vanessa's face. One last place came to her heart. Home. Her mother. She arrived at her mother's gate late in the evening and banged softly. Mama, it's me, Vanessa. No answer. Mama, please. I've been sent away. I have nowhere to sleep. Still silence. Then the light came on and Madame Grace shouted from the balcony, Your surname is Thompson now, not Hillary. Go to your husband's house. Mama, I beg you, please. I've made mistakes. I'm sorry. But the light went off. The gate remained shut. That night, Vanessa stayed outside the gate, pacing, shivering, whispering to herself. Whenever her eyelids grew heavy, she would pinch her thighs hard, slap herself, even scream into the night. Once she shouted too loud that a passerby thought she was mad and crossed the road in fear. Vanessa wept bitterly, gripping her stomach, her chest, her head, but not sleeping. Not anymore. It was her first night fighting sleep instead of welcoming it. And it was the beginning of her transformation. As the first light of morning cracked through the sky, Vanessa dragged her swollen feet away from her mother's gate. Her heart heavier than her steps. She didn't know where to go. She didn't know who to turn to. But one thing echoed in her head like a chant. You must prove you've changed or no one will ever believe in you again. She passed by a big shopping mall just down the street when her eyes caught something that made her pause. A signpost freshly written in bold red letters. Security guard wanted. Apply inside. Vanessa blinked hard. Was this a coincidence? A test? She looked down at herself, tired, rejected, worn out, but she squared her shoulders and walked in. A young man at the reception stared her from head to toe, confused. Madam, how can I help you? I saw the sign. I want to apply for the security job, she said with all the confidence she could fake. He looked again, scoffed, and led her to an upstairs office. Inside sat a tough-looking man with a face that looked like it had never smiled in years. You, he asked without hiding his doubt. You want to be a security guard here? Yes, sir. He stood up slowly, walked around his desk, and stood right in front of her, his eyes piercing. You see this job, he said, tapping her shoulder. No sitting, no sleeping. You fall my hand, you must serve punishment before even thinking of leaving here. Read the policy. He pointed to the frame on the wall that read in bold, strict policy. No sitting, no sleeping, no story. Vanessa, I will do it, sir. I promise. He folded his arms. Can your legs take it? Can your eyes stay open? You look like sleep has been your best friend since birth. She swallowed hard. I've lost everything, sir. I need this job to fight for what's left. There was a moment of silence. Then he chuckled. The first smile that cracked his face in weeks. Okay, start today. But if you fall my hand even once, you will mop the whole compound on your knees. Understood? Yes, sir. Vanessa's first morning as a mall security guard started with determination burning in her chest. She stood at the gate like a statue, legs firm, back straight, eyes wide open. No leaning, no blinking too long, no excuses. The sun was rising higher, and the customers were starting to come in. "Good morning, madam," one greeted. She saluted like she'd been doing the job for years. But deep inside, a storm was brewing. Her eyes were fighting. Her body was already begging for rest. The pavement was hot under her feet, and her stomach was empty. Still, she refused to bend. What Vanessa didn't know was that the mall owner, Mr. Kassem, was watching her secretly from the CCTV room. He didn't believe she would last 2 hours. "She'll soon lean," he whispered to his assistant. "Or nod off." So, he devised a test. He called one of his staff secretly. "Go outside. Act like a customer. Ask her for help. See if she's alert or drowsy." The staff, a young lady named Linda, went out and waved to Vanessa. "Excuse me, Ma. Can I know if there's a pharmacy inside this mall?" Vanessa didn't miss a beat. "Yes, Ma. Just go straight, then left. Shop 22. She smiled, saluted, and remained standing. Mr. Kassem blinked. An hour passed, then 2, then 4. No sitting, no dozing. She even took a bitter leaf from her pocket and chewed it slowly. Then she whispered to herself, "You are stronger than sleep. You are stronger than disgrace." Just after the 5th hour, Mr. Kassem came down personally, pretending to check the gate. Vanessa greeted with energy. "Good afternoon, sir." He stood there staring. Then he shook his head slowly and laughed. "You might be my best staff yet." Vanessa's heart jumped. "Don't relax yet. 1 week probation. If you survive it, I'll put your name on payroll." "Yes, sir." As he walked away, Vanessa blinked hard. A tiny tear dropped. Not from pain, but from pride. She was winning the war. 3 days later, Vanessa was assigned to the night shift, a shift known among staff as the stretch of darkness. "Are you sure you can handle it?" Mr. Kassem asked before leaving. "You've been standing all day." Vanessa smiled faintly. "Sir, I've stood through worse." But deep inside, she was shivering with fear. Not because of ghosts, not because of thieves, but because she was scared of herself. Her greatest enemy was waiting for her. Sleep. By 10 p.m., the mall was quiet, shops locked, lights dimmed. Vanessa patrolled slowly with a flashlight and whistle. The building echoed with every footstep. At 11:30 p.m., she yawned. She slapped herself. "Never again," she whispered. At midnight, her legs started wobbling. She poured cold water from her bottle on her face, still standing. By 1 a.m., her eyelids were at war. She chewed 3 bitter cola. Her jaw was tired, but her eyes were more tired. Then came 2:15 a.m. She stood by the entrance, head leaning slightly on the glass door just for a second. Suddenly, a loud bang. She jumped up, screaming. Her flashlight dropped. Her heart raced. She looked around only to realize she had dreamt the bang. Sleep had tricked her. She began to cry silently. "I won't lose this chance. I won't lose this fight." She took off her shoes, walked barefoot to stay awake. By 3 a.m., she began to whisper songs to herself, old school rhymes, church hymns, anything that kept her mind running. When 4:30 a.m. came and her replacement arrived, the man stared in shock. You didn't sit. You didn't nap." Vanessa smiled, face pale, eyes red but proud. "I came to change my story. Sleep will not ruin me again." She didn't wait to be praised. She walked back to her room barefoot, straightened her back, and let them all see I'm not the same Vanessa anymore. Word began to spread like wildfire through the neighborhood. Vanessa is now a security guard. Vanessa, who used to sleep with bitter cola in her mouth, she does night shifts and doesn't blink. Even Madame Clara heard it from her neighbor and nearly dropped her plate of beans. One Sunday morning, as Vanessa walked confidently past the market in her security uniform, head high, torchlight hanging from her belt like a medal of honor, a group of gossiping women stopped her. "Anan, Vanessa, is it true you now stay awake overnight?" one shouted. Vanessa gave them a wide grin, removed her sunglasses dramatically, and said, "Ah, my sisters, I have emptied all my lifetime sleeping bank. I'm now owing sleep interest." Everyone burst into laughter. Another woman clapped and added, "Vanessa, our sleepy queen is now sleepless in Lagos." Vanessa laughed and replied, "Forget Lagos. I'm now the managing director of Night Watchers Association." From that day, people began to greet her with mock salutes. Captain Vanessa, the enemy of sleep, Madame Torchlight, we day hail, and Vanessa with every joke and cheer, felt her confidence growing back. Even little children would say, "Auntie Vanessa, I heard you chase sleep away with cane." She would bend down to their level and whisper, "Shoo, don't tell anyone. I buried it behind my old house." Vanessa's fame was spreading fast, not just as a security guard, but as a walking tourist attraction. People didn't come to the mall to shop anymore. They came to see Vanessa. One old woman tapped her walking stick and said, "I told my grandchildren I would not die until I see the woman who once slept inside mortar." Some even bought snacks and drinks just to stand near her, whisper, take selfies, and shout, she day really stand tall. She no day sleep again." Sales skyrocketed. The mall's owner, Mr. Bartholomew, a grumpy man with resting angry face, called her into his office one morning. She stood straight, ready to be sacked. But Mr. Bartholomew grinned for the first time since she started working. "Vanessa," he said, "you're no longer just a security guard. You're our sales magnet, our human billboard. From today, you're promoted to customer experience officer." Vanessa gasped. "Wait, sir? Officer as an office?" "Yes, and you can sit down now." Vanessa collapsed joyfully on the chair like it was heaven. "Finally, I've been standing since the Israelites crossed the Red Sea." Just then, the office door opened. Boom! Enter Pella. He froze. Vanessa froze. Even Mr. Bartholomew froze, though he didn't know why. "Pella," she stammered. "Vanessa," he replied, confused. "You're the famous security guard everyone talks about." Mr. Bartholomew jumped in. "Wait, you two know each other?" Vanessa nodded slowly. That's my husband." Pella looked stunned. "The same Vanessa that used to sleep on duty, who boiled jam into charcoal. Who missed her baby's cry like it was mosquito noise. Who slept in between contractions." Vanessa laughed and pointed to her official ID card. "Vanessa Thompson, certified sleepless." Pella smiled, emotional and proud. "Wow, you really changed." Vanessa stood tall, put her hand on her hip, and said, "I told everyone I've emptied all my lifetime sleeping bank. I'm now an active citizen." They both burst into laughter and hugged. Mr. Bartholomew wiped a tear. "This is why I don't sack people anymore. They always come with a movie script." Though it took time, but slowly, beautifully, Pella and Vanessa began to rebuild their broken love. No loud arguments, no tears, just small, honest moments of healing. He visited her often at work. They would sit under the mango tree behind the mall during lunch breaks, eating puff-puff and laughing about the past. "I still can't believe you burned yam to charcoal," Pella would tease. Vanessa would roll her eyes. "Let me be. That charcoal has retired." A few weeks later, Pella and Vanessa walked into their sitting room hand in hand, smiling. And then came their baby, now a bubbly 2-year-old girl named Bella, who ran out to hug her mommy. "Mommy," she squealed, throwing her tiny arms around Vanessa's legs. Vanessa scooped her up, kissed her, and whispered, "I'm so sorry for those days, my love. Mommy is wide awake now." Pella watched from the door, his heart full. He had no regrets. He did something special. He bought her a shiny white car with a red ribbon on the bonnet and a note that read, "For the woman who conquered sleep, pain, shame, and still stood. Drive boldly, my queen, Pella." Vanessa screamed, hugged the car, and shouted, "I can now drive without becoming a traffic hazard." She danced around the compound like she just won a visa to heaven. The next weekend, Madame Grace came visiting. This time, not to scold, but to cry joyfully. My daughter, look at you. I'm so proud of you, she said, hugging her tightly. I almost blocked your blessing, but God pushed it through. Even Clara, her former best friend, who once rejected her, visited with a food basket and whispered, "Forgive me, sleepyhead. I doubted you." Vanessa laughed, "No more sleepyhead. Call me Power Nap Queen Thompson." Everyone cheered. The home was now full of joy, laughter, and new beginnings. Vanessa had truly awakened, not just from sleep, but into her purpose. Hello, besties. Wow, what a journey we just went on with our girl Vanessa on Innocent Stories. From the queen of sleep to the queen of standing tall, from dozing off to glowing up. Can we just give her a round of applause right now? But besties, beyond the laughter and the gist, this story carried some deep lessons that I really hope you caught. Let's quickly talk about 5 powerful moral lessons from Vanessa's transformation. 1. Never give up on yourself, even when everyone else has written you off. 2. Change is real, but it starts the moment you decide to prove the world wrong. 3. Your weak today can become your biggest testimony tomorrow. 4. Sometimes life will break you first before it blesses you. 5. God's timing is always perfect. Even when people turn their backs, He's still writing your story. So besties, whatever you're fighting through right now, just remember your story is far from over. Like Vanessa, your best chapter is just beginning. Now you know what to do. Like this video on Innocent Stories if you smiled, laughed, or even learned something new. Comment below your favorite scene or lesson, and feel free to drop it in your own local language. I want to read them all. Subscribe if you haven't joined the Bestie family yet on Innocent Stories. What are you waiting for? And please share this video with someone who needs a little push, a little light, a little laughter today. I love you all so much. Like seriously, from my heart. Thank you for always watching, supporting, and growing with me on Innocent Stories. God bless you richly, besties. Until our next story, stay awake, stay strong, and please don't be like early Vanessa. Ooh. Bye.